Okay. Also, just so you know, this is being recorded. So if you do not wish your face to be on camera, go ahead and turn your camera off. But do know that this is being recorded. Okay, well, it is a little bit after 1. Amanda, can you see the admit room, the waiting room to admit people? All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started and keep admitting people as I go. So welcome to the ITQI meeting, if you will. It is great to have you all here with us. We have some information to share with you. And then we have some hope for some feedback from you or some questions from you at the end. Again, please keep yourselves on mute for now. We will unmute later. We'll have some question and answer time. Feel free to put questions in the chat, but note that we will probably get to them. So it's probably better to just go ahead and hold off for now. But there is the chat function, and then there is the question and answer function, and we will go back through those at the end. Make sure that we've answered your questions. My goal is to have you out of here at 2. That said, I have nothing immediately following this, so if someone has a question and they want to stay on with me, they can. But I know you are all busy, so with that in mind, I'd like to go ahead and get started. So welcome to the ITQI webinar. I guess I'll go ahead and start my video in case you want to see my face. I am Laura Fuller, and I am the project manager for this project. So I will be answering questions and telling you how to contact the team if you have additional questions that you want to talk about later. Congratulations. This is a really amazing opportunity in the state of Michigan. Just to put it in perspective, we are one of the it always happens that the dog goes insane when I get on a webinar. 1 second, let me just slam the door shut. The joys of working from home. Okay, so I just wanted to say thank you so much for being part of this pilot project. This is a pilot project. And one of the things that I want to do today is share with you our hopes and our goals for moving forward with this. We do have 3 goals for this project. So the first is to increase access to high quality infant and toddler child care in Michigan. Our biggest goal, and probably should go back in and put this as number 1, is increasing pay equity for infant and toddler teachers and workforce. And then our third is to look at improving quality, specifically looking at an equity lens. And we can talk a little bit about what that means too. In addition to the money that you all are receiving, which you should have gotten your first payment of on Friday, and we will talk more about what to do if you didn't. But in addition to the money that you're all receiving, these grants also include some strategic technical assistance. And there are a couple of things that we mean by that. So part of it is going to be improving the referral process, trying to work in ways to better connect subsidy eligible families with open slots and improve the referral process. Part of it is we are looking at ways that we can help improve the hiring process. So what can we do to connect qualified staff members with open job postings? And then finally, what are some of the communication needs that we can help support you with? So some of the things that we're talking about are potentially an onboarding packet for families that you can personalize, but not have to build out yourself some of the, the forms and the connections on the back end with Laura and Michigan Registry and the subsidy work. So There's a lot of technical assistance also that is getting built into this pilot project. I want to take a minute and just stress right now to all of you that this is a pilot project, not a, so some of you may have met or know me from the stabilization grants. I worked on the stabilization grants. The stabilization grants were a completely different purpose of project, and a lot of providers seem to think that this is the same. It is not. This is a pilot project. So what we mean by that is we have a relatively smaller amount of money. So we had $986 million in the stabilization grants. We have 36 million in this. So it's a much smaller pot of money. But it also has a really specific things that we're looking for. So our goal in this is really to look at what can we do to increase and to quicken the way that subsidy gets handled. What can we do to improve the process for families on subsidy while still increasing wages for infant-toddler workforce members? It's a sweeping attempt at reform, if you will. So because of that, there are much stronger requirements, reporting requirements that we're going to be asking of you, more communication that we're going to be asking of you than with the stabilization grant. So this is really an evaluation piece to see if we can't actually completely reconfigure the way subsidy works in Michigan for the better. So do know that this is not just, we're not just handing you money so that you can, pay the bills. We really are measuring results and trying to make real systemic change in this process. Why won't it? There we go. Okay, so first I want to introduce you to the team. There are 5 of us on the team. Myself, I'm Laura Fuller. I'm the senior project manager at ECIC. Like I said, I was the project manager for the stabilization grants, so some of you may have worked with me on that. Donna is not with us today. She's my direct supervisor, and she's the senior program director at ECIC. But she is the one who is managing a lot of the back end moving parts on this program too. So the 2 of us are working really closely together on the budget and getting approvals done and making sure that everything moves quickly. Kyler, yes, subsidy. When I say subsidy, I mean the child development and care subsidy that DHS pays for tuition. Maria is also not with us today. She is a senior strategist. She is the one who's going to be working on a lot of the technical assistance on looking at how can we communicate better, build out the referral program, all of those sorts of things. So Maria is going to be reaching out to you with that and share with you some of the changes that we've made, some of the lessons that we've learned in smaller pilots, particularly in the Detroit and Flint area, as we attempt to look at enrollment and issues around enrollment numbers and how do we keep the numbers flowing so that we can get kids in slots. Amanda and Riva, I believe you're with us. So if you, Amanda and Riva, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to unmute. It will let me. And go ahead and introduce yourselves. Amanda, I've got you so far. I'm looking for Riva now. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I can jump on. I think I'm unmuted.
You are.
Hello, everyone. My name is Riva Richardson. As Laura said, I'm going to be the program coordinator for the ITQI grant, and I'm looking forward to working with each of you.
Amanda, can you not get it to unmute? I know she's here.
Hello, everybody. I'm Amanda Bailey. I am also another program coordinator on the ITQI grant, and I'm very excited to work with all of you as well.
So in the process, you may well get an email from either Amanda, Riva, or myself. All 3 of us work with the ITQI grants at ecicforkids.org email. So you could well get any of the 3 of us. The good news is that we all coordinate very closely. So if somebody doesn't know the answer, we will get it to the right place. All right, so let's talk about what I know you're really here for. So first of all, let's talk about funding. So this was the funding amount that you received was based on a formula. And let me explain the formula to you. So first, the first part of the formula is the base award amount. And the base award amount was based on your quality rating. So if your program has a quality that is in either the, and I only have the first words, I don't have the whole label that we're using now on my notes, that either the maintaining or reflecting levels of quality, then you had one base award amount. If you were in the enhancing, the validated, or the demonstrating categories, you had a different award amount. The maximum award amount for those first two was $18,000 a slot. The maximum award for the last three was $14,000 a slot. With the quality level, we looked at the infant toddler billing, subsidy billing. So I know a lesson learned in the stabilization grant was to get that number directly from MDE as soon as we could. Unfortunately, as some of you emailed us about, as soon as we could was later than we wanted. However, before amounts were coordinated, we did verify the subsidy billing with MDE. So we looked at your infant toddler subsidy billing from September 1st through October 31st. And what you had billed for those 2 months on November 13th, MDE pulled the report on the 13th. So whatever you had billed for that 8-week period or whatever long that 2-month period is, that was how we determined your base subsidy number of award slots. Then we asked you about expansion slots. We granted expansion slots on the application. We asked how many slots you could add with this funding. The average number that we funded as expansion slots was 4. With the idea being that this is, in order to fill the expansion slot, what we're going to require you to do is fill it with an infant or toddler who is receiving childcare subsidy. One of the things that Maria is going to be doing is helping make those connections, so don't freak out right now. But that is what we mean by expansion slots. So it's increasing the number of infants and toddlers on subsidy in your program. Some of you said that you could add a classroom, and if you indicated that you had a long waiting list and you were billing for at least 20 to 30 infants or toddlers on the list that I got from MDE, you may have gotten additional expansion slots. But as a rule, we capped it at 4. If you're caring for a child on an IFSP, then there was a $1,000 bonus per slot. You will be required to upload a copy of the IFSP to your to the same place in Work Life Systems where your grant application is. There's a tab that says documentation. You will be required to upload a copy of at least one IFSP to that tab by January 10th. So as we said, it was in the FAQ. We put it in the earlier PowerPoint. So do please make sure you get that done. If it's not, then starting in February, that money will be repurposed in an attempt to add more slots. Same for GSRP. Unfortunately, we don't have, yes, Tara, yes, please remove the PII on the IFSP. I don't want their diagnoses. I don't want their name. I just want the date. I just want an IFSP with the date on it. That's all that I need to see that you're caring for one this academic year. With GSRP, similarly, the list from MDE is not available yet, so we will be hopefully getting that this week. Once we get that list, we'll be verifying that yes, you are currently receiving GSRP funds. If you are, great. If not, then again, we'll be making adjustments to the award amount. So until we have the final information, some of it may change. Your awards may change based on those factors as those final verifications come in. But as of right now, the IFSP needs to be a child up to 35 months old. Yes, it's not an IFSP for a 10-year-old. the awards are broken down into monthly payments. Okay. So when you got your award letter, you had an award letter that said your program was awarded X amount for the X number of slots per year. I want to point out, I've gotten this question quite a bit, as have other members of the team. So I want to point out that if you looked at your award amount and you said this is per year, so this is what I'm getting, that is not correct. So our hope, our goal is that MDE is able to continue this funding permanently. That's the goal. And so what we used was MDE's intended funding formula to determine your funding level. So you will get whatever that monthly award amount is. So let's say you were probably the average award amount was between 13 and it was either 13 or 14,000. I need to actually double check that per slot. So let's say you got 5 slots at $14,000 a year. So you would take 5, multiply it by 14. Great. That would be your per year amount. However, we're only funding 10 payments this year. So divide that by 12 to get what your monthly award is, but know that you're only going to get 10 of those payments, with the hope being that there's no gap and we go straight into the next fiscal year with the same funding. Please advocate for that along with us. That's what we're advocating for, but that is why we're doing this as an evaluation program, why there's a lot of evaluation and work and technical assistance being done on the back end, so that we can attempt to make this really truly the new way that we do subsidy funding in the state. Again, that award amount may be subject to change for a number of reasons. The reasons being that you said you had an IFSP child, a child with an IFSP, and you don't document it, in which case we'll remove that money. You said you were getting GSRP and you don't, we'll remove that money. And then, you said you could expand by 10 slots. We gave you 4. And when we get to March, you have not managed to enroll additional, your subsidy numbers haven't increased, at which point we will probably be looking and reconfiguring how many additional enrollment slots that we have given people, and change the slot counts based on how well people manage to enroll those slots. Our goal is to keep the program as full slot-wise, slot count, if you will, as we can. And if you have questions, if you're having problems, I'll be happy to work with you. Our team will be happy to work with you. And then we'll get you the technical assistance that we can. There are questions there. So is there a breakdown to see these amounts? I'm not sure, LaTanya. I will look and see, but I can certainly send it to you. If not, we can talk about it later. If you don't fill the slots, you will not be expected to pay back the money. We'll just re-allot the amount. How do we know our allotment? Rachel, we can talk about that later. I thought it was on the award letters, but if not, we can certainly make sure that it is clear to everyone going forward. All right, let me continue on. Again, we'll have question time at the end. This is really critical, like really, really critical. So all of the money is being paid to you via bill.com. So last week we sent bill.com sent a verification email out to everyone. As of Friday, when payments went out, there were 35 of you that had not verified your account. So you will not be paid. You will not have gotten paid for December. If you didn't get paid on Friday, and or you don't see it routing to your bank account, because let's be honest, sometimes it doesn't hit quickly, but the money was released on Friday. If you if you did not do your verification for bill.com, you need to let us know so that we can resend it to you. Otherwise, you won't get paid. We can't do paper checks. It's only electronic payments. So please make sure you get your bill.com stuff verified. This is what you're looking for in your email. Check and make sure we've had our payment vendor resend the invites, these verification invites. So check your spam folder. I've been told that bill.com often will end up in spam folders. So please check your spam folders. And yes, you may see a deposit of a penny. That's one of the things that they're doing to verify that the account is accurate, is active, and can receive those funds. Again, you need to get it done ASAP. So if you have not done that, or if you do not see money coming into your account or something in the routing for it, do make sure you reach out to us so we can resend that information. Rakita, like I said, the funds were released on Friday. I can't speak. I can tell you that it took about a week for us to get the money transferred from MDE. So it's entirely possible that it's still in the banking electrons, but they were sent out on Friday. All right. Again, right, if it's not done, it is going to mean that you won't get paid. So send us an email. That's the email address that we're all checking. And that email address goes to all three of us, but Amanda is the one who's primarily handling the finance payments. So we will get on that so that we can get money to you. Thank you, Amanda. This is the payment schedule. Our intent is to get money out by the 5th of the month, every month. In the months where we have an AP run that happens before the 5th, we're sending them then. But please note, the 5th is our intent. Every month is for us to have all of your money out to you by the 5th. Please note that the report due date does not change. It's the 10th of each month. And it's going to be a really simple report. We'll talk about it in a minute. There is an additional webinar on reporting that we've already scheduled. So do know, though, that reports will be due on the 10th of each month. Each month, you're going to report in Work-Life Systems, but we're in the process. Remember, I said we have technical assistance as part of this grant, and we're working really hard to make things easy. One of the barriers that we discovered a lot in the stabilization grants, and I'm sure that all of you are aware of this, is that it's not always easy for providers to log into the database, the Great Start to Quality website. And so one of the things that we're attempting with this is that you will be able to submit your grant report via text message, and it will automatically sync into your license in Great Start to Quality. So that's the good news. The good news is that the standard reporting, so the most months starting January 10, your January 10th report will be about 6 questions that are more or less yes or no questions that you'll be able to do via text. You'll be testing that soon, but remember when I said on the application, in order to participate in this pilot, you have to have texting capabilities. We're going to text you. So during the regular monthly report, we're going to ask you if you increased wages and if you paid bonuses. And then what other categories of the allowable expenses, which I'll talk about in a second, did you spend any of this money in? And it will be more or less yes, no questions that you can text in. In addition to that, I'm not 100% clear on the timing of this yet, but there are going to be regular texts that come out to you to verify your enrollment capacity, like to verify your enrollment numbers. So instead of having to log into to Great Start to Quality, to update your enrollment, current enrollment, you'll be able to just do it again via text message. So that is coming really soon. And it's really, really important that we have accurate enrollment information for you, because in order for us to coordinate a referral process and build out a referral process, we have to know where slots are. So do please note, it's going to be really critical that you respond to text messages that you receive from us so that we can make sure that your information stays up to date. Part of being in this pilot and getting this money is an agreement to do that. So if that is going to be a problem for you, you should probably decline the award, because eventually we will end up removing you if things are not done. Right? This is part of the evaluation piece. You have to agree and you have to actually participate. 3 times during the year, during the grant period, we're going to have a longer form report. We're still discussing what site we're going to do the longer form report on. It's not going to be in Great Start to Quality. In that, we're going to collect, again, your enrollment information. We're going to collect your large, more detailed grant spending report. What is this money going to? We're also going to ask you some workforce questions. So in the application, we asked, how many staff did you have? How many staff openings did you have for infants, for toddlers, et cetera? And what their current rate of pay was as an average and as a starting rate. So we'll be collecting that data again, because we want to track and see, again, the primary goal of this was, one of the primary goals of this is to increase wages to infant toddler staff. So in order to do that, and in order to track it, we're going to be asking you some more in-depth questions about your workforce. And then also for some impact stories, so some open-ended questions about specifics on, what are some ways that, I don't have the questions yet. Another team is working on those right now, but there will be a couple of longer, few sentence answer impact story questions. And those will be in March. We're going back and forth on July and June. So it says July here, it actually will probably be June, and then October. And the reason that those months were picked, if it's not obvious, is that March, you'll have received 4 grant payments. And so we want to see, like, a quarter in, what is the impact that this is having on your workforce? What is the impact that this is having on your staffing, on your enrollment numbers, et cetera. So that's the first big one. And then an end of the school year report. So, what does your summer staffing look like? Are there changes in payments that you've made over summer? Is there a significant difference in your program over the summer? Questions like that. And then at the end of the grant period. So we'll be collecting, like I said, longer reports those months. I've gotten a lot of questions about allowable expenses. So let me go ahead and go through what is an allowable expense. So wages and bonuses are an allowable expense for any staff that you have, that is caring for, and this is important, that is caring for infants and toddlers receiving the child care subsidy or are administering this grant. So if you have an accountant and they are spending 15 hours doing the paperwork for this grant, then you can pay for their 15 hours out of these grant funds. So wages and bonuses for your infant toddler staff that care for children on subsidy. Fringe benefits for that same group of staff, so tuition reimbursement, insurance, retirement, those sorts of things. Supplies for your infant toddler programs to increase quality, so things like curricula, cribs, sleeping mats, etc. And then minor renovations that would allow you to increase your infant toddler slots. So for example, I had a provider say they have a room that they can turn into a toddler room, but they have to add another hand washing station, right? Things like that, perfectly acceptable. This cannot be used for other things. This is not for that kind of construction type stuff. This is not for new windows, new refrigerator, fix the HVAC system. This is not for any of that. This is very, very specific in its use. Okay. In addition to those allowable uses, I do want to point out that staff being paid for this, staff being paid out of these dollars, must be legal employees. I know a lot of people hire contract employees and pay them with a 1099 at the end of the year. These are for legal employees. What that means is that you pay them with a paycheck, that you withhold payroll taxes from their paycheck, that they get a W-2 at the end of the year. In order for you to pay them with this money, they must be a legal employee. If you currently have contract staff, you can certainly use some of this money to work with either a lawyer or an accountant to get your system transferred over in such a way that they are hired as actual employees. All right, but they must be legal employees for you to pay them with this money. All right, and then, all right, I'm going to stop there and take and go through the questions that we have seen. Amanda or Riva, have you answered any in chat, or should I just scroll all the way to the top? I'll scroll to the top. Okay. So as I said, yes, subsidy is DHS paid tuition. Yes, we talked about removing PII from the IFSPs. Yes, the IFSP has to be for a child 35 months and younger. There is a one of the bonus categories was GSR. Oh, I should do it this way, and you can see where I'm at in the chat. One of the bonus categories is for the GSRP. I will tell you, I will just walk through the breakdown right now because it's actually pretty easy. So there is, if you agree to an expansion slot, there was a $3,500 part. There was $3,500. If you have a child on an IFSP, there was $1,000. If you have a GSRP program, there was $1,000. And then the rest of it was based on your quality level. So, so a maximum amount of $14,000 or $18,000, depending upon your quality level. You are not expected to pay the money back if you are unable to fill the slots. However, you will have to show how you tried. Potentially, we might ask you to show how you tried to fill those slots. You can use the money towards hiring expenses. If, you can use the money towards, so if the reason that you didn't fill the slot is because you're trying to hire a part-time person, you can use the money for hiring expenses, things like that. But we are also, like I said, working on building out the referral process to try and help get children into those slots for you. Molly, I think what you're asking is, in addition to the billing that you submit to DHS or MDE now, and that answer is yes. It's in addition to that. Yes, IFSP is a document that also includes early on or special services. Anna, yes, that was part of the build out. I don't have great answers on with the GSRP. So my guess is that you will, based on what you just wrote here, you will see a $1,000 decrease in your award amount per slot if you are not participating in GSRP. Like I said, I believe I'm expecting the list of GSRP programs on the 15th, but I don't have it yet. Ebony, if you can see it on your bill.com account, then it's in the works. You're fine. It's the matter of when people haven't verified their account at all. Yeah, you may not have gotten funds yet. It may still be in the works. Like I said, the money was released via bill.com on Friday. So depending upon your banking system and things like that. Electronic banking can take a couple of days to actually deposit. Have 2 centers under the same EIN, so ran into issues when verifying the second license. Amanda, can you take note of that one? I don't know the answer to that at all. It should have gone, my understanding is, Andrea, my understanding is that it should have gone with both of them paid together into the same account without a problem. But if you want, what would be really helpful, Andrea Lopez, is to go ahead and send an email to the ITQI grants email address with both license numbers, and we can double check and make sure things are going out okay. Yes, if they need a verification letter, send it to the ITQI email address. Make sure, please, for all that you hold holy and dear, anytime you send something to that email address, whether you're a provider or whether you're one of the resource center staff, include the license number. Otherwise, our first question back to you is, what's the license number? And it's just going to slow down getting an answer. So please make sure you include the license number on any correspondence that you send. Believe it or not, it's really hard sometimes to find programs in the database with just a name or an email address, especially if it's not the email address that you have registered in the database. Yeah, okay. Yes, Latasha, that is correct. The total grant amount is not on your award letters, just the per slot number and the amount of slots we funded you for. Because it is dependent upon further verifications that we hadn't received yet, we were giving you what we had at the time. Melissa, wonderful question. As a multi-site provider, is there a way a central office person can complete reporting on behalf? Yes. If you have multiple locations and they currently struggle to log into the licenses, reach out so that we can work with you to make sure that we have an easy way for somebody to get into all of your licenses in the GSQ website. That is our goal in trying to set these things up. We actually had some back end discussions on for multi-site providers, like what is easier. And so yes, we absolutely can do that. Jessica, there was going to be, it's not done yet. It will be done in the next week. If you have questions on what your expansion, the number of expansion slots you are awarded for, as opposed to the number of slots we have you as currently billing for, send us an email with your license number and we will verify and tell you exactly what it was that we funded. Okay. I'm very confused. All of the slots for kids coming in are slots for kids already in the center receiving DHHS, increasing the pay for the staff caring for them. So the expansion slots are for kids coming into the center who are infants or toddlers, so up to 35 months, who are eligible for subsidy money. So we are trying to expand your programs with children receiving subsidy. The current slots are the kids you're currently caring for up to 35 months old who are receiving subsidy. And yes, the only staff you can pay out of so these dollars are coming from the federal subsidy pot. So the only staff that you can pay with these dollars are the ones caring for children who are receiving subsidy. Rachel, I understand what you're saying. Unfortunately, that is what this grant is for. So potentially when the expansion in pre-K comes, some of that money can go to the 3-year-old teachers. I don't know. I'm not involved in that program at all. But for the purposes of this program, for the purposes of these dollars, it is only for your infant and toddler teachers. When we looked statewide, infant and toddler teachers were paid significantly less than 3-year-old classrooms on average, maybe not in your center, but on average. And so our goal really is And for these dollars, it's really around infants and toddlers. So, we can address, we can talk about, your messaging around that. Our comms team can work on some messaging around that, but for right now, unfortunately, that's what it is. To that point, one of the things that we wanted to say is, because this money is not guaranteed past the end of the fiscal year, we're encouraging you to use it as bonuses, to pay bonuses to your infant and toddler teachers, so that you're not actually changing their base wages per se. But that is the use. Okay. Wages and bonuses are not any child, only infants and toddlers. Infants and toddlers. Okay. Lori, we are going to share with the participants. We are going to share with participants in this program the wage study that just came out, so you'll have a better sense of what wages are in your area. Annette, we should talk. I'm going to go with no on, definitely no on the entry doors. As for the infant toddler playground, I'll have to double check that with the state, but it's definitely a no on those kinds of site-wide improvements. It's really this is a very specific grant, very specific. Kelly, correct. No 1099 workers, only legally employed, only legal employees. Okay, I'm not going to talk about GSRP now. Yes, you can pay for professional development. That falls under fringe and benefits. You can use the funds to help cover the parent portion of tuition for infants and toddlers receiving CDC subsidy. Yes, but only for the infants and toddlers. But yes, the money must be spent by the end of the grant period. So the absolute last day to spend the money is September 30th of next year. Try and spend it sooner, right? But this is not for you. The intent is not for you to hoard it per se, but yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by going over their hours, but yes, I probably, as long as they, again, as long as they are, I'm not sure if you're talking about staff or families, but as long as it is supporting infant and toddler subsidy, yes. Yes, 35 months is correct. Early on is acceptable. No on flooring. If the child turns 3 during the time frame, we're not, I mean, it's going to affect your overall enrollment numbers. Our intent is not to change your base enrollment award amounts, so it shouldn't really impact anything, but obviously the intent is for the youth then to, if they graduate into a higher level, higher age range classroom, our intent is that you refill their lower level slot, if you're at a center, I should say, that you refill the younger level slot with an infant and toddler on subsidy. Lori, we can talk specifically later. I'm going to run out of time if I answer all of these really specific questions. No on the counters, no on the outside area. If you do not agree with your GSQ rating, send us an email, include your license number. It is for all staff that care for infants and toddlers receiving subsidy. So that's a great question. How much can you pay in a bonus? You can configure the bonuses however you think is fair. So if we give you the wage study and it says that a fair wage for your area would be $20 an hour and you're currently paying them 10, and I'm making up numbers, but like, let's say that's the number. and you want to give them $4,000 a month as a bonus, yes, that would be totally fine. But again, you have to be paying them as, with payroll. So Lori, I think above you were asking about 1099 staff. So you can't pay staff who are not legal employees. So yes, pay them what you think is fair and do it legally. Your monthly, again, Rafe, your monthly report will be in the GSQ website, but we're hoping that you can submit it via text if that is more convenient for you. Molly, yes, with the previous, things may change based on if you can't submit what we've asked you to submit. Can you give them a bonus? I assume you mean your staff. The answer is yes, assuming, again, they're employees. No, Kyle, or I'm sorry, but that is the end of the fiscal year is a hard deadline. So, we'll need to figure something else out for you. You're welcome to reach out. Okay, I'm going to move on. If we didn't get to your question, then Riva and Amanda, go ahead and answer questions in the chat. And if we didn't get to your question, then I encourage you to make an appointment with me. The way to do so is in your award letter. Excuse me. Goodness. All right. So here are our expectations of you. Remain in communication with us. This is not a one and done scenario. So if you have questions, ask them. Don't wait, ask them. If you're having problems, ask us. We have back end support available that we want to help you with. So if you're struggling to find families, let us know. That's a really critical part of what we're trying to accomplish with this. If you're struggling to find staff, that's another really critical part of what we're trying to accomplish with this. So do please reach out and be in communication with us. We are going to require contact information for staff and for at least some of your families. We will be doing evaluations with them as well. We won't, I'll get to that in a second. Make sure you spend your funds appropriately. We really don't want money back, like really. But that said, make sure if you have a question about whether or not something is an appropriate expense, make sure you ask and get it clarified before you spend the money. Keep your documentation. This program is being audited by MDE and by the federal government because these are federal subsidy dollars. We are being audited. So they may have questions and they may want to see documentation for some expenses. So make sure you keep your receipts. Again, we are not requiring that you upload them in Great Start to Quality, although you are welcome to. You do not have to unless we request them of you. So just know that. Hold on to everything, whether you stick it in a shoebox or whether you load it directly into the system. Hold on to everything until everything is said and done. 4 years. Just so you are aware, ECIC is partnering with a group, with an organization, Public Policy Analysts. They're going to be doing the evaluation of this project. They're going to contact you directly. So when you get in contact from PPA, please follow up with them. It's really critical. This is what they sent me. So here are the things that they have been contracted to do by both us and by MDE. They're going to look at staff and whether or not staff wages are increasing. They're going to want to speak with your staff about wage changes or bonuses paid to staff. They're going to want to see, what changes were made in classrooms so that they can talk about quality, so that we can do some analysis of quality improvements. We're going to be looking at equity. So, are we getting children moving through the subsidy requests into actual slots? Is there are there areas that are not moving? Like, are there areas that we're seeing hold up maybe at the DHS side of getting applications moving and quickly? So we're looking at all aspects of this. And they're also looking at what are the easiest ways that they can reach out and collect data. They will also probably be doing text as their main way of contacting your staff and families. All right. So I want to briefly just go past this and point out, I have blocked 2 hours on Wednesdays from 12:30 to 2:30, where you can either click the link if you want to do it on your computer, or if you want to just talk on the phone, you can dial in, and at least one of myself, Amanda, or Riva will be in the room, quite likely all or two of us. But we'll be able to, whether it's one-on-one conversations in a breakout room, or whether it's, a quick question, or whether it's a long question of how, you're really struggling to get enrollment and what are some of the things that we can do. We are there to help you in those office hours. I will point out that so that starts on this Wednesday. We are closed the week between Christmas and New Year's, so I will not be on Zoom. Then I'll be in Pennsylvania with my in-laws. But other than that, that block has been held on my calendar between now and the end of February, at which point we'll reevaluate. If it's still getting lots of questions, I will continue it past that. If nobody's shown up in 4 weeks, I'll probably cancel them after that. But for now, it is blocked between now and the end of February. And you should have that information. So let's go back to this slide. I want to open it up for questions. Feel free to unmute yourself. I'll turn off the required. Carol, I'm going to go ahead and have you go first since you've had your hand up for a while. And then I'll go ahead and, come on, allow you to unmute yourselves.
Am I good?
You're good.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for this. We really, really appreciate it. I'm just wondering if there is any way, Laura, that the RC directors, and right now I'm speaking for me, can get the correspondence that are going out to providers also, because they're receiving letters about, their checking account or their award or what's going on with the grant, and they're calling us and we don't even know what they're talking about. So I had asked Donna Wade about this, and she said yes, but then, I got calls because they got another letter. So it might not be possible. I'm just asking. It would help.
I'm fairly sure that I can at least get, I'm going to share, I already shared the Resource Center Director list with Amanda and Riva. So when we send out a large email, yes, I can at least make sure that it's coming.
That's
with
fine.
With a copy
That's
of the
fine.
Generalized text,
Yeah.
even if we can't get you CC'd on, every email to Anna or every email to Christopher.
Oh, thank you so much. We so appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Mm-hmm. All right, Rachel, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi there. I'm looking at, or I'm wondering, can we use some of the funding to pay for our infant toddler staff's children's childcare? Like, let's say I have an infant teacher who has a child in our school and she's paying for childcare right now.
If you offer that as a benefit as a fringe benefit, yes.
Okay, so that cost would be reimbursable.
Yes, if in your benefits package, you want to make part of the benefits that you pay to the staff, a childcare cost for them.
Mm-hmm.
Usually I've seen it as yes, at if they're bringing them to your own center.
Yes.
But absolutely, that's fine.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anna. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry about that. You may have answered some of my questions, and I am so incredibly sorry. But I did put on there that in my centers, due to staffing issues, I actually combine children that are 2.5 with some of my preschoolers every morning until sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's not. Or if we have a lot of kids out, I do combine my preschool staff as well, because they're all trained with the very same thing, infant safe sleep and all those great things. Anyways, we are able to intermingle our staff, and we do that quite frequently, and then they combine at the end of the day. Would that be considered somebody that cares for my infant toddler staff? They're also
during
caring
the day, if
early.
during the day they are caring for an infant or toddler on subsidy, then you can use this money to pay them.
Oh, pretty much everybody. Okay, great. And then I think you answered the question if they turn 3 during that time frame. And of course, right now, because I have 3 locations, I'm just seeking out enrollment for DHS slots. We are in the Traverse City area, and unfortunately, the number that receives CDC subsidies is not very high in this area, just due to the clientele that we have, but our wages are certainly not representing what is needed for the cost of living here. So you said that we will show you that we're trying. What kind of documentation would you like? I mean, I call wait list all day long. I've used social media avenues in order to request CDC subsidy enrollment and things like that. Is that something that would work for that?
Yeah, yes, that would. And you know, it depends on what the issue, like, you know, our goal, again, this is at least as much study as it is grant, right?
Sure.
So part of our goal for this is, okay, so you're struggling to fill the slots. Like, why? What's going on? Like, maybe it's there just aren't that many children being approved for CDC subsidy in your county.
The
Okay,
biggest thing
why
here
is that, right?
sorry. The biggest thing here is our wages are actually higher than the state. You know, regionally, it's an average of $18 to $20 an hour for entry level positions in this area, which is great. But economically, it's a little bit upside down because our cost of living, I mean, you can't even find a 1-bedroom for less than 1,800.
Sure.
So the CDC, and whatever their formulas are, does not include cost of living in their calculations.
Right.
And so it's kind of like apples to apples when you look at poverty percent level. You know, looking at somebody in more of the downstate regions that struggle with poverty level isn't that much different here whenever you're looking at cost of living and things like that. And so we're seeing a lot of people struggle. And that's why our homeless stuff
Right.
is really
So
bad. But that's
I'm
why we're
I'm
not
gonna
getting-
stop you because we're at time.
Oh.
And that's fine. I'm happy to stay, but I do want you to know we are at time. So if people need to leave, by all means do. Again, go ahead and put in a request for an additional meeting or what have you, and we'll be happy to talk with you one-on-one. And I feel like what you're asking me is probably better for a one-on-one meeting.
Sure.
What I think might be best is email me and we'll set it up with you and somebody from the resource center that's up in Traverse City so that we can, like, because it sounds like we need to strategize a little about like what's going on in your area specifically.
Yeah, Jessica and I have been on it pretty heavily recently, and along with Mary Manor, our Great Start Quality regional managers. So
okay, yeah, so go ahead and send me an email and we'll set up a time.
okay, great, thank you.
Okay, yep. Christopher.
Yes, I believe you already answered this. I just wanted to make sure, talking about wages only going to infant and toddler teachers that deal with subsidy children. So if they flow or they do, if it's 50-50 per se between preschool and infant toddlers, or like I believe someone else asked, that the class is a mix between maybe toddlers and a little bit preschool. Does this grant cover all their wages, or do we have to separate it by a percentage of hours worked with infant and toddlers?
I haven't gotten a good answer on that. I'm not gonna lie. What I have been told is that because these are subsidy dollars, it needs to be, it needs to go towards paying for children who are receiving subsidy in their care. So that said, if you've got a mixed class, you're carrying, like, I personally, my logic is, if you have a mixed class of children receiving subsidy and children not receiving subsidy, and you have a mixed class of children receiving subsidy who are infants and toddlers and, 3-year-olds, it's not really any different there, right? So I'm gonna say, as long as you're paying them for hours that they're caring for infants and toddlers receiving subsidy, I don't care who else is in the classroom with them. Does that make sense?
Yes, my only other thing then is if they were to, let's say they worked 40 hours and 10 of those hours were with preschool, not with infant and toddlers receiving subsidy.
Yeah,
At
you
that
couldn't pay
point,
them. Yeah, you
sorry?
couldn't pay them for you couldn't pay them for those 10 hours.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Wouldn't
Right.
a bonus take kind of that spot? I mean, if you just did a one-time bonus per month, and then that way it's less paperwork on the administrative level.
It is for me. Works for me. But if
That's
you're,
what I'm hoping to
but
do.
if you're a large program, if you're a large center, and you have a certain way of billing set up, and you're billing certain things to GSC, because where it comes into a problem is this person's doing GSRP 20 hours a week and infant toddler 20 hours a week, and that's how they're set up in their payroll stuff. So you're welcome to, again, these are the kinds of questions. Please send me a meeting request and we'll talk through them. So yeah. Okay, Marquita.
I think you answered this, but let me just ask really quickly. I have a split classroom where there's 2.5 and 3-year-olds.
Mhm.
Is it okay to give that teacher
Yes.
like a bonus or a bump in pay due to
Yep.
the dollars?
Yep.
Having the dollar.
As long as, again, as long as as long as for the hours that you're paying them for out of this, if you're paying them as an hourly, as long as they are caring for children, infants and toddlers on subsidy, and they're legal employees, then yes. Mhm.
And what my last question is, I have a child who, for some reason or another, keeps getting denied for subsidy. And
Set up another time for me to talk, because I don't know that much about the process there, so I can't. We're over time, and
okay,
so let me get to some other questions.
okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Tanisha?
Yes, question. The program is for 0 to 35 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then my second question is this Zoom meeting is recorded? How can
Yes.
we get to it, or is it another Zoom meeting?
It's recorded, and it will we'll either email you a link to it, or it'll go on the website.
All right. Okay. And what website is the
Great Start to Quality.org/grants.
Gotcha. All right.
Laura, we
Thank you
did put
so
that
much.
in the chat also for those looking for that information.
Great.
All right,
Thank you.
beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Dr. McKnight?
Hi, I believe Ms. Walker and I both have the same question. If there was any way possible that this grant could be used to help our parents who literally just missed the mark for the subsidy enrollment, so our parents who pay, if we could use that to provide some type of relief for them. And then
Not if they're, so it can only be used to provide relief for those who are on subsidy. So
Okay.
So if their amount is $200 and subsidy covers 100, and you want to use the money to pay for that other 100, yes. What I'm saying but not saying is, if you're like, you're sure it's going through, and you want to hold it on your books, and they get approved, and you want to pay for their going back to the start of the grant on December 1, I don't have a problem with that.
Noted. Got it.
I'm not going to look at that. So, yeah.
Okay, my second question. I can use this to cover payroll for some of my infant and toddler staff if I'm giving them this increase in wages.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's what we want you to do. We want to pay people a living wage.
Right.
Right. So that we hopefully can cut back some of turnover. We want to build quality. It's hard to keep a quality program if you're changing teachers every few months.
Okay, my last thing, Laura, I promise. If we have matrix lots subsidy slots in this grant. Can we layer that or no?
You have what slots? The first one?
Matrix Early Head Start, this subsidy grant and subsidy, can that be layered?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to make this easy. Yeah. All right, Anna.
I didn't mean to raise my hand.
Oh,
So
okay.
sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Rana?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to start with the pilot program, and I was wondering if it would be okay to open up a separate account for the money to go into under the business account. That way we can kind of keep track on everything.
Yes.
Okay.
We don't, on our end, we don't care what kind of account it goes into.
Okay.
What I will tell you is, and I should have said this should have been said somewhere. I probably should have. Anyway, we'll bring it up again. But if you make changes to your banking, please email the ITQI grants email so that we can reach out to you and make sure that it gets routed correctly going forward.
Okay. I've spoken to Bill.com about it
Oh, okay.
as well, but I just don't want all these different checks going in and making sure you see which money is coming out for this program specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I still think, and maybe Amanda, if you're still here and can jump in, I still think you should probably reach out and let us know because we submit the I should say she submits the finance file each month to
Okay.
bill.com, and I'm not sure what happens if you change your information after it's been verified. So I'm gonna say I certainly have no issue with that, and please please do at least reach out and let us know so that Amanda can just make sure that it goes
Of
where you
course.
want it to.
Of course. Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Thank you so much. And I had one more question. I'm sorry.
No, you're
So,
fine.
each childcare center, they have a different slot average to achieve monthly?
Correct.
Okay, and that's based what we put on in our application.
It's based on a combination of what you put in your application and what MDE told us you're currently billing for subsidy. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for answering
Yeah.
my questions.
Absolutely. Christy.
Hi, I just have a question. If we are in the works to move, I don't know how soon we're going to move. It could be 3 months, could be 6 months. Can you explain what happens in that situation?
Yeah. So so we went through this a lot with the stabilization grants. So I was already pre-thinking about that particular problem. So the plan, we're able to be really hands-on with this particular program. So if your license closes and it's something that you know is going to happen because it's a move, and assuming that there's no lapse in care, let us know and we will open, instead of what we did for the stabilization grants, for those of you that went through that with me, we will just reopen the application on your new license and approve it on your new license so that it just goes right to the new license, and we'll just change it on the back end for this project. So,
okay.
But again, communicate.
Right. Now, when you say lapse of care, obviously we're probably going to close for a week to get the move done.
Yeah,
That's
no, I
okay.
mean like, oh, we're going to close for 6 months while we build a new building.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Moving for a week, I mean, we're all going to be off between Christmas and New Year's. You close for a week, spring break, whatever. I don't mean that. I mean like, oh, we're closing our program for a while we do the thing. So, okay. All right, Rose, if I've already answered your question, put your hand down because I know some of you have had additional questions, so it's come back up, and I don't want to assume you're done. Rose, go ahead.
Yep, I have a couple of questions. I know you mentioned a few times that there's going to be some kind of a chart coming out about wages. I'm wondering if there is an expectation of minimum wages that you want to see us paying these people. And is it going to be dependent on like their qualifications, or if we can get them to improve their qualifications?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, the overall wage study was, I'm trying to remember, it was long. It's a really long, it's a very detailed wage study that got done. I don't, the overall goal is that we increase wages to reflect what people with similar experience, credentials have in other subsets of education. So, one of the big things that came up is, GSRP has a starting wage of what, $28 an hour or something. In at least with one of the programs that I was talking to, but their infant toddler starting wage was 14 or 15, and um, so there's a lot of competition for the GSRP teacher slots, whereas it's really hard to fill an infant toddler slot, especially with somebody who's got an ECE degree, things like that. So the goal is that you can use this money to pay people what they're worth.
Okay.
But I'm not sure that there's like a specific number right now that I can quote you and say, this is
okay. And then just to clarify, are we able to count all of like their base pay plus the bonus amount that we're going to pay them, or just the bonus amount? All of it? Okay.
All of it, all of their fringe, all of their all of their pay,
Okay.
all of their bonuses, all of their fringe.
Okay. And
You can use it.
by fringe, are you also counting like the Medicare and Social Security match? Okay. And then just one last question is, like, we do have GSRP, we have 2 GSRP classrooms in our building. Can I assume that the extra 1,000 per slot for the GSRP program was not included in there?
It probably, if you have 2 GSRP classrooms, it probably was, and that's still money is still supposed to go to that infant toddler subsidy.
Right. I just wondered if it was already included in there, or because I know you said you were waiting on.
It's already included based on, it's been already included based on your self-report on the application.
Okay.
And then when we get the letter from, when we get the list from MDE, we will be going back through and re-verifying.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Tanya?
Hi. Okay, I was trying to unmute. Okay, first of all, I think this is pretty awesome that you guys decided to take these federal fundings and try to help increase quality in infant and toddler care. So thank you for whoever was fighting for this. We are best advocates of early childhood education. I just have a couple of questions I just wanted to follow up on. Actually, by listening to other questions, a couple of my questions have been answered, but one of my questions is about the IFSP. So first, there was no breakdown that I can find that showed exactly whether or not, what the funding was based on the different slots. Now, I was able to go back and look in the Great Start to Quality, and I looked and I saw I didn't do for expansion grants, so I'm assuming that none of this funding would be for that, but I couldn't tell about these other 2 things. So 2 questions. IFSP, I have a little one who actually just turned 4. When I did this, I counted him under my IFSP. And the reason why I counted him is because he's in my infant and toddler classroom, because he is based on his IFSP and all the testing that we've done on him, he's at a 16-month-old. He has some brain trauma and some other things. So I guess that's my question. He's developmentally in the classroom for his age based on his IFSP.
I'm going to ask you to email me that because I have no answer for you. I'll have to look into it. My gut check says no, because it's based on what you report him age-wise to when you're doing your subsidy reports, not what classroom he's in. But I will double check for you. But email me, and again, make sure you include your license number.
Okay. And then my final question is just that, so I can get a big breakdown, so I can just understand exactly. So I would assume then that $1,000 for the 10 months or for the year of this funding would then be removed, because I did have this particular student in the
Yeah, so we're not gonna have you send it back. It will just be that when we do your January or February, depending upon when we get the verification lists in from MDE and such, that it would just decrease by that amount per slot. Yeah.
But since then, I have enrolled someone who will be having an IFSP.
If you have a child, because we didn't collect the name of the child.
Mhm.
So if you enrolled somebody who is under 35 months or under on an IFSP, that's all we're looking at.
Okay. Okay. I think that is it for me. And should I just wait for the breakdown, or should I email someone so I can see that?
Go ahead and email. That's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Yep, you too. Yvonne?
Hello.
Hi, go ahead.
Hi. Okay, I just got two questions.
Mhm.
Now, since this funding is for the infant tots staff in that area, are we supposed to continue billing for children, the
Oh, yes.
CDC?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. This
but
is
we
in
have
addition to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. This is on top of the billing. So yes, in fact, if you stop billing, we're going to have problems.
Okay.
Bill,
Okay.
bill.
That's great. Okay. And then my second question is, I know like with the other grants that we've had in the past where we were trying to hire additional staff and we offered hiring bonuses. And then at some point we had staff that may not, may leave after you hire them after a month or two. So if we have a situation like that, if they leave prior
We
to,
don't have specific staff bonuses as a built-in category like with the stabilization grant. So forget the stabilization grants. This is not the stabilization grant.
okay, okay, but
So
if
if you hire staff and you pay them a hiring bonus, you pay them a hiring bonus. If you want to then say, and then if you stay with me for 3 months, I'm going to give you a $5,000 bonus after 3 months. By all means, after 3 months, do that. And then if you say, okay, if you're still here in September when I'm making my last payment out of this grant, and I'll give you a $10,000 bonus, great, do it. Right?
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
But again, just make sure that they're a legal employee so that you can document
Yes.
that, because if we do come back and say that, we'll need to see where you've paid them bonuses on their W-2 like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. All right, Sue.
Are we able to pay for college degrees with this money?
Yes, that falls into the list of fringe. So if
Fringe.
tuition reimbursement is something that you want to, to pay, if you've got a staff who's getting their associate's degree in childhood psychology or what have you, and they're caring for infants and toddlers for you that are on subsidy, yeah, absolutely. Tuition reimbursement. We've had, one of the things that we've talked about a lot is if you have staff that want to get their CDA, but they don't have time to study, and you want to pay them for some work hours to study when they're not actually working, but you actually, because you can, whatever, fine, absolutely pay them, pay them 10 hours a week to go study and pass their CDA. One of our hopes is that we have, because of the fluctuation in, okay, this person said they could take 4, they only filled 2 slots. So now we have, $4,000 or whatever from that we have to move here. Whatever, like I said, it's a lot of moving pieces and parts on the back end. One of our goals is remember I said March, June, and October, we're going to have like a longer form. One of our goals then is to say, have you had any staff complete a CDA or a early childhood degree? And if you can show documentation of that, one of our goals is to be able to send a bonus for you to pay that person for completing something like that.
Perfect.
Right. One of the questions that we're asking is, has your quality level changed? And has your quality level changed? And if you say yes, we'll go in and verify it. And if it's gone up, our hope is that we can pay a bonus for that kind of thing too. So part of the goal is that we'll be able to do that as we move forward. but absolutely, that's part of building a quality program.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Abir.
Hi. So Laura, I know you said that PDs are also, we can use it with the grant money. You said professional development. Does that also work for directors that are training the teachers? The infant toddler
If
teachers?
you have a director who is doing the training for infant toddler teachers caring for infant toddlers on subsidy, yes, absolutely. That's fine.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yep. Rachel.
The more you talk, the more excited I'm getting, just because it's starting to come together finally. But I just want to clarify, you said that we can start reimbursing, or not reimbursing, but stop charging families and use the funding to pay for the other part of their subsidy, correct?
Yep.
Oh, hallelujah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And like I said, I'm not going to look at your books closely enough to see when you transferred that balance. So if you have a family that's waiting and you know they're actually going to get approved before the end of the grant period, what have you. So like, I shouldn't say that, but let's be honest, we all want to support you and families, and
It's
right.
so sad when you know that they just all lost all that extra funding and you're like, hey, I need you to start paying. And I have a single dad with 2 kids, and I know this is taking time, but like the single dad with 2 kids, he's a great dad. And the poor guy, he's like, I owe you $75 again this week. And I just know he doesn't have it,
Yeah.
So it's
I know,
exciting.
and I've had a lot of people say, there are a lot of families who aren't subsidy eligible, but they should be, or they're really close, and I get it, and I really wish that we could use it for more, but unfortunately, this is, like I said, it's
better than
coming out of
nothing.
subsidy dollars, so we have to track it that way.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Sherry.
Okay, hello.
Hi.
I believe you just answered this, so I was gonna lower my hand, but just for clarification, because I have someone that has a set of twins and both of them only have like 20 hours a week. So are you saying I can make up the difference for that for full-time care because they are here all day? And of course, like you said, with no additional cost to the parent.
If they are subsidy eligible and you wish to use some of these funds to pay towards their subsidy, that is fine. It's not our primary purpose with this. I want to be really clear. That is not the primary purpose of this. The primary purpose of this really is to support your staff. But if you've got some families that are struggling and you want to use some of these funds to help them with their tuition, and they're a subsidy family, and they've got an infant or a toddler on subsidy, and they have a copay, you can use it for that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Latasha.
I'll move away a little bit. Here, you okay?
I'm gonna get off of this.
Okay. During the application process, I think it was the first 3 questions. I'm a family home, but it's just me right now. But I selected what I supposed to because it's me as a staff. But when it went down to do like the degree part or credentials, I selected one because I pursued my master's degree this June. Was that right?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's what I thought. I wanted to clarify that. And the second one, I have a family that receives subsidy. One child just turned 4, so I don't know if she'll qualify now, but she just turned 4 today. But the other one is at the 8 for the infant. She's like 2.5. But her subsidy payments went down to 60 hours biweekly, and it will affect my check in 2 weeks. So she'll probably have a co-payment. So I can use that money for her, correct?
Yes.
That's reimbursement, but not the other one.
Correct.
She reached the
age. They have to be 35 months or under.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep. Rana.
Sorry, I have another question. I have an admin team that actually does all the curriculums and the lesson plans besides the lead teachers and the assistants that they work with. Would they qualify for wages to be raised or a bonus? They do the professional development, take everybody through it as well. And they do it for every classroom, including the infant and toddler.
Email me with your license number. I'm gonna have to verify that one.
Okay.
That's not one that's come up yet.
Okay, and one more question.
Mhm.
Does the minor renovations, I'm not sure if it's structural doesn't count. Would that count for like pulling out carpet and putting in something better for the infant toddler room?
No, only if it's keeping you from licensing it for infants and toddlers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
it's not just a like general facilities improvement is not allowed for this. It literally is, if I do this, I can increase my infant and toddler slots. So
I
like
understand. Okay.
I need to add a hand washing station. I need, things like that.
So if I make like, let's say, my school age room smaller, that'll make my toddler room bigger. That would be good.
Again, I think you're going to need to email me because
Too
it's
specific?
going to
Okay.
be structural. Is it just moving a wall divider, or is there a
Oh, it's
structure
moving
to that?
shelves. Yeah, it's just moving shelves.
Email me. Let's
I
talk
will.
about it. Yeah.
Okay,
Let's set
sounds
up a
good.
time to talk one-on-one. Okay.
Sounds great.
Joanne?
Okay. Thank you.
Joanne?
Hi, yes, sorry about that. So in the award letter, it states that funding is may vary depending on your monthly slot enrollment reporting and available funding. So at what point will things be reevaluated? Like if we don't add slots, how
we'll start looking. We're gonna start. So I wish Maria could have joined us today. Once we get the text enrollment data set up, so I don't know if any of you have ever tried to do a text campaign, like set up a text campaign, but there's like a verification process, and then there's like an approval process with providers and like all kinds of back end stuff. So once we have that set up and you start receiving texts that say, hey, this is what we should for your full-time infant toddler enrollment, like what, I don't know what it's going to say yet, but once you start getting those, and updating them, we'll then start looking. So we're basing this on the way Pennsylvania went to this contracts model for subsidy. They only gave people 30 days to fill slots. We're not interested in doing that, especially over the holidays. It's insane. So my guess is that, we're going to look at what comes in on the March report, and we'll start determining like, okay, this person has had 4 months, but they haven't managed to increase their enrollment. They said they could take 4, they haven't increased their subsidy enrollments. So, what do we need to do? But if come January, we get back from school, if you want to start at that point talking about, what's going on, what the needs are, the struggles that you're having, reach out then, and we'll be happy to set something up to talk through, like, okay, what are some strategies and what can we do to help you get the enrollment numbers that you need? So we're not trying to be punitive in this at all, but if we have, I have one program that has already started, has already added that we funded them for 4 and they've already added 6. And so they're like, we could add 6 more. And I've got 300 kids on my wait list, and they're in a part of Detroit where pretty much all of the children on their wait list are eligible for subsidy. And so, we want to be able to move slots if somebody's struggling and somebody else has, and somebody else has the ability to add, we want to be able to move slots around as needed. So I would say March, probably.
Thank you.
Alicia.
Hi, so we have a wipe service that we use. Can I use that and take that off of the deducted for the parents, for the infant toddlers?
A what service?
The wipes, like supplies, wipes. Or no, would that be considered?
I don't think so. I'm
Okay.
gonna lean towards no on that one.
Okay, thanks.
Or was I? Lori.
Okay. Hi, am I talking to me? Do I have to be on payroll too? I'm so confused because I'm just a group home.
So
I
owner
put
of
my
the
one
group
employee
home-
on the payroll, but do I have to be on payroll?
No, you just your employees.
Just a minute. Okay, okay,
As the
that's,
owner director, you, for a group home, you do not.
okay. I made an appointment to talk to you, so, but thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
All
bye-bye.
right. Sounds good. Samira.
Good evening, and thank you so much for taking our answers and starting this. If one was not paid in December, when the payout came, do we have to now wait until January, or do you just connect with bill.com and then it'll be submitted later?
You cut out for 1 second, so I just want to make sure I understood your question. So you did not get the verification done before Friday when the December payment went, and you're wondering what that means for your December payment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I believe that the intent is if you get it done between now and our next AP run, it goes in our next we'll just send it in our next AP run. Otherwise, it'll probably go in January and you would get both. If it's not done by January, we're going to have problems though. So make sure you get it handled, whether it's on your end or whether it's, hey, Laura, I really need another verification email. So, all right. Joy, I think you're the only one who I haven't talked to that has their hand up. Go ahead.
Hi. Okay, so we only have a few slots left to fill, and we have a wait list that we're working off of, but it's like half and half, whereas half of them have subsidy, half are paying parents, and we're going through the whole eligibility checklist. But my question is, if we just use our wait list and fill those slots, and you don't see the growth on the subsidy, will we be penalized for that?
Well, it won't count towards filling the slots.
You said it will not?
It will not. No, this is specifically subsidy. So
we need to.
You should prioritize the children that are subsidy eligible on your wait list if you want it to count towards expanding your slots.
Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
That was it. That was my question.
All right. I think I've talked to everyone who had their hands up. Again, my email, I would say our email is in the chat. We'll be happy to respond. I'm gonna just go real quick through these, see if there's anything in the Q&A that was specific that I want to address. Funds need to be spent each month. No, they only have to be spent by the end of the grant period, which is September 30, 24. At this point, I'm going with no on playgrounds until I hear for sure yes, but right now I'm going with no. Paying into retirement is a fringe, so that is appropriate, again, as long as somebody caring for infants and toddlers on subsidy. All right, those were the only questions in the Q&A that we hadn't covered. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you, this has been recorded, it will get posted or shared somehow with you. And there is a second round of it tonight. If you come up with something else and you want to drop in, you're welcome to. I think we only have about 30 people tonight instead of 130. So, we'll theoretically have more time to answer questions, but again, reach out if you need us. Office hours start this week. If you have questions and you want to pop in, please do. And other than that, I'm going to let you all go back to your lovely days.
Is the link the same for this evening?
No, it also had a registration, but the link is in your award letter.
Okay, thanks.
All right, take care, everyone.